Greetings and welcome to Two Balls and a Mic 185. We have a brand new episode today. We're going to start popping fresh and in the flesh here with Chiba and the very handsome digital version of Alan Underwood. We're going to talk San Diego Loyal, who struggle against Loudoun United, the worst, second to worst team in the Eastern Division, then struggle once again against Memphis. The good, the bad, and the ugly, what we think about San Diego Loyal so far. We're also going to touch about the Women's World Cup. Emily Van Egmond, Sofia Jakobsen, the San Diego Wave representatives in the semifinals of the Women's World Cup. The World Cup over in the Oceania continent. We're also talking MLS, I guess, because there was a new video that dropped. Yeah. San Diego Soccers did that video better. And Leagues Cup, some interesting things that also happened across the pond in the Premier League.
Maybe Premier League.
Chelsea.
To Chelsea.
My Chelsea tied.
Your sponsor list
to Alan's Reds. Hi, Alan. Alan's here.
What's up, Alan?
Good. I was just disappointed by Liverpool's performance against a bottom half table team. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Although I think neither team has won a game in like 30 years or something like that. It's always a draw. And, but again, I think another quality, entertaining match between the two games, probably as a neutral, it was pretty fun back and forth, some offside goals for both teams. So I think both sides are all right. And maybe Chelsea probably thinks they deserve 3. And, they might have probably a little bit stronger team on the day. But a point on the road against a resurging Chelsea without a kit sponsor. Although the holograph was like very much like my childhood from like opening baseball cards.
Yes.
I felt that like visceral reaction to the shimmeriness of the crest, and I both loved it and hated it because it made me feel that way while watching a team I didn't want to be successful at the time.
It is a rare item in that shimmer. I dig this sponsorless kit.
It looks nice. It really does.
Get myself a Me Official San Diego player. Plays at Chelsea now. San Diego kid. Me Official. Shout out. But all right, Alan, we're going to go ahead and start with San Diego because, San Diego Loyal because...
They had a doubleheader. They had a Wednesday game and a game on Saturday.
Absolutely. And so going into it, last week we talked about how this has to be a game that has to be won. Like you have to really impose yourself. You have to really...
The one against Loudoun,
The one against Loudoun. You have to really be on your A game. This is going to be a match that will,
I believe,
sharpen your weapons.
I believe the words thrashing should be. Like, this should have been a thrashing from San Diego Loyal. I think most of us predicted a 2 to 3 goal margin victory, and it was completely opposite of that.
But it's obviously a rotation type squad. Coque Vegas, Stoneman, Simba. We have Michael, Guido, Hackworth, Xavi, Bodley, Collier, Matiti, and Ronaldo. And on paper, Alan, this lineup is strong. Like it's a strong lineup, and it's definitely one that, again, on paper, should be able to handle the likes of Loudoun United at home here in San Diego. So, what are your thoughts going into it? We heard obviously what you thought going into the match and how you thought this should play out, but you see this lineup. Maybe I thought Duran should have gotten maybe some minutes here, but what do you think about this lineup, Alan, going into it?
Yeah, obviously it's a midweek match against a team that you probably feel that you're better than, so rotation makes some sense to save some legs, right? We've had some guys come back from injury. We got guys who aren't quite ready to give the 90 minutes, and maybe like a guy like Guido, guys coming into the team like Matiti, figuring out how to play the system. But it's a strong side. I don't think you're wrong in that. I am, looking at that lineup, maybe a 3-goal thrashing might not be the appropriate response, but it's still like a good lineup that should be relatively competitive against a young Loudoun side. So, it's fine. I know Hackworth is Chiva's favorite player, and he loves when Hackworth starts.
He follows us, by the way, so respect. I know he hears this, and I know he knows it, right? But it was good to see him get there. He had a highlight of his career, a Loyal with a play that ended in nothing, but Sorry, Alan.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's clearly rotation, but they're guys who can handle themselves, right? This isn't like we're putting in, a bunch of kids. Literally, it's just kind of your, I don't want to say a B lineup, but it's definitely the lineup that is rotated. It's like your backup, it's your second string, but second string Loyal pretty good, right? Like Guido had some nice moments. Matiti's always dangerous down that side, and I think this game encapsulates a lot of the issues that are going on with San Diego Loyal in general, uh, specifically as of late.
I like this lineup just because it is a very young lineup, right? You have Kasansu Simba, who is 20 years old. Chilaka, the kid they got from Israel, he's 23. You have Chavi, 18. Matiti, who's 23. Damus, I mean, also younger age. So you have younger players playing, and you still expect a win against Loudon. But, I mean, you got it. But it was a sweaty one. Tony talked to us a little bit. You were there. Alan and I were unavailable for this matchup. What was the vibe? Attendance? It's a Wednesday.
I mean, it was
that little Alan just kind of
like
tells you everything.
what I'm hearing is that it was one of the lowest, if not the lowest attended game in the season for San Diego Loyal. It was a Wednesday against not a flashy team. I think the people who go and watch Loyal kind of know what teams are the go-tos and what's going to be a good game. And again, this should have been a game where you have many opportunities, as San Diego Loyal has now become accustomed to, is creating opportunities, but they just don't finish them. And I think that's going to be the difference come playoff time. And I mean, even come the end of the season, right? Where, I mean, even as I'm dressed in the regalia of a 109, and not even 109, just a super loyal fan that even with my rose tinted glasses, something's up and I don't like it. And I haven't liked San Diego Loyal playing recently. But man, even as in my most positive, I'm just trying to figure out a way where you almost escape with no points in this match against Loudon. And that is where I just kind of don't like where San Diego Loyal's at, where clearly, sure, Nate said it at the post match. You start who you start. But again, these players, according to him, should have gotten the job done. They didn't. They really didn't. You had to make all the subs late in the second half, and then you just kind of retake the game back. But even then, those players weren't coming off sharp because they're not used to coming off the bench. They're not used to being in those situations. They have to get warmed up and just ease and settle into the game. It took literally into the last second to, bring a lead to San Diego and ultimately the victory. But Alan, I don't know. Like, I just didn't like this San Diego Loyal look.
Yeah, there's something definitely like not 100% clicking, right? Like you watch these games and you watch the opportunities they get in front of goal, and they're quite good. The opportunities that they give up. There's been quite a few times in the past couple games against Colorado Springs and against a little bit against Loudon, but definitely against Memphis, where they really don't hold on to possession. They give it up. They're trying for home run balls as opposed to smart build up to get the ball to where you want it to be. And then ultimately, some of these games, I think, if things had been clicking and they'd been looking really nice, I think people can excuse some of the lack of finishing that they've been seeing as kind of a blip in the radar. But on the flip side, I mean, they have 3 wins in their last 5 matches. It was a 4-game unbeaten streak in the last 5 before this. And so, like, big picture, yeah, there's some things that we'd like to see a little bit better. And definitely playing against a team like Loudon, that you want to see more. But I do think we saw at the end of the game, right? It very easily could have been a team midweek. It's like, hey, let's just pack it in and let's see what happens on the weekend, right? Hey, we tried our darndest, gosh darn it, and you know we tried really hard, but we're tired. It's toward the end of the season. Let's just chalk this one up to a loss and let's go get Memphis. But they didn't. They really dominated the second half.
Yeah.
Um, there were some really nice moments, and some really patient play, some really patient buildup with things that were unfortunate. This whole section that we just saw right now is significantly different than what we saw um, in the previous match, where they were very, very impatient. Um, this one seemed to be a little bit less frantic. So, like, hey, we're heading in the right direction. We're getting nice, good shots. We're in the right position. But just sometimes the ball doesn't find the way in the back of the net. And, fortunately for San Diego against Loudoun, it did. And, the next game was a little bit different. But I think
Yeah.
we still have 11 games to go to kind of tighten up the ship. And I think in the next couple weeks, we need to see a team that really steps up. I'm not as worried as I think some people are. It's a really good Orange County team, midweek against Loudoun, and then we can get to Memphis in a little bit. But
Yeah.
it's not bad. It's just not good.
For this game, I do think Nate Miller did manage it the right way, right? I mean, it's kind of like
The right way?
Yeah, I mean, you get the win, yeah, it's Loudoun, but you give a lot of the younger players time. It's kind of like if you think about it with the Premier League, an FA Cup or something like that.
But this
you
isn't
rotate
the
squad.
league.
Yes, but it's a midweek game. You can't just play all your starters every midweek game. You're gonna get injuries. You're already having injuries.
Okay.
You have to see it from
Great.
that standpoint
Great.
as well.
Great. That standpoint. But your starters played most of the second half anyways.
It's still not a full shift though.
But it's
Playing
still
45 minutes, it's not comparable to 90 minutes.
okay.
Though.
Okay. Go get your 3-0 with your starters and then switch everybody out.
No, it's. I mean, why not
That's what I
just-
didn't like.
why
That's
not
what I
just
didn't
start
like
the
is
players, though?
go get the result, and then you start getting those minutes in. Then you start getting everybody
Well,
in
but,
the
this
rotation
way you
start.
put a
Mix
trust
it in a
in
little
your
bit.
subs as well. You put a trust, and
You
they don't
put
get
the
the
trust,
job done, and then you get the guys to get the job done.
Then cool. Then
that
the trust
happens.
is gone.
That happens with all
The
the big
trust is
clubs
gone.
around the
I
world
don't
in those tournaments and those midweek games. They put in their rotation squads, and if they don't get the job done, then you put in the big guns in, and they get the job done.
But even then,
that's
the
how
big
it's
guns
handled.
struggled. The big guns struggled. Like, yeah, they
got
it
the
done.
job done,
They got
though.
the job done, but I
mean,
didn't like the way that it went down.
Struggling is having test shots on target.
Yeah.
Really, that's
Yeah.
struggling.
Against this competition, yeah.
I mean,
If you're touted as what you say you are, and you're the best in the West, then you're this grand team that has the depth and has been having these movements and transfers that are going to be beneficial for the system or for whatever, and get people like.
I'm not saying that they
I just didn't like it. Like, yeah,
No,
good
no,
job,
no,
you guys
you have
won,
every right to
fantastic.
not
You
like
got
it.
3. You got 3 points. Like, I'm sure. Like, it just really. It moves into that next game too, because in the next game, again, like you were saying, Alan, like something was different, but it's along the same line of something being off. I feel, and I don't know if I can't. I need to talk to Nate. We need to talk to Nate Allen. Like, we've reached out. He's actually come up to us and been like, "Hey, I heard. Have you talked to so and so?" I'm like, "Yeah, we have." So
We're waiting.
Nate should be here soon, and we can ask him. But
And we can't wait to have Nate to explain this to me. But again, against Loudoun, I don't think Nate handled that incorrectly. I think he put a rotation squad, and I agree to disagree there. They still got the win. You're expecting a win. They got it. San Diego Loyal is still in good standing. They're 4th in the West. They're still in the
Yeah,
hunt
they're
for a
fine.
home playoff
yeah,
match.
they're fine.
So I don't know what your expectation is right now. You should be used to San Diego sports sucking all the time.
Hey,
So I don't know
all right.
what your expectation of this team is right now.
My
So,
Yeah, go
I-
for it, Alan. Yes.
I think, and I'm not here to say this is what Nate was thinking, but I think you throw that lineup out, which is a pretty solid lineup, and you hope they get a lead, right? Like,
Yeah.
you see what
You
they can
hope,
do.
yes.
You put your faith in them that they can do a job against Loudoun, which they didn't.
They failed, yes.
But I think you need to give them a fresh start, as opposed to what happens if you put your starters in, they don't get the lead, and now you have to sub in your kids. Like, put your kids out there, see what you got for the rest of the season, right? See where all those guys are going to fit in. See what see what it's like.
Yes, Alan,
See what it's
Jeremy.
like
Yes, yes,
with
yes.
those guys, because you're going to need them when it comes to the playoffs, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen like, oh, we're not going to make the playoffs. Like, it would be an epic collapse. I think there's some concern, maybe not a home playoff match, but they still have that in their control, right? They're 2 points ahead of Orange County. They're 3 points ahead of Colorado Springs with the tiebreak. You know, outside of Oakland, like, are we really surprised that we're behind Sacramento and San Antonio? Like, is that a huge surprise?
No, it's
Like,
not.
I mean, yes, you want to win the West, but like against historically one of the best teams in the USL in Sacramento, against the former or the last year's champion, and against an Oakland Roots team that's actually playing really, really well. They've rediscovered this form. They moved Juan Guerrero on and have really come along quite nicely, and are coached really well. So I think that's the big surprise. So okay, so you're fourth instead of third. Like, I think if you go into your next couple matches and things aren't starting to get better, which I would agree, I would argue that Memphis was a better game than Loudoun. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
No,
was.
100%.
I
Yeah,
agree
Lotto
with
was
Nate.
snooze
I thought
fest.
that they played pretty well for a lot of the match. There's like 15 minutes where they didn't. Let's clean that shit up. And I think some of it was the way it was managed. I like that they kept their head for as long as they did with how much BS they were having to deal with in that stadium at home. Like, last year, there would have been like 14 red cards, and so the finishing with 11 was great. Finishing with Nate Miller on the bench was great. Like, I think that there's steps that the team's taking. So I do think there's positives, but there is cause for concern if we don't see the team continue to get better, which I think we have and we will.
And I think that's overall that's my issue, right? Like I'm not mad that they struggled against Loudoun. You know what? Sometimes teams play down to the competition. Sometimes teams play up to the competition.
Yep.
Sometimes whatever it may be, but I just don't see a consistency of play anywhere with San Diego Loyals where it's either they play super Nate Miller ball and they play and everything falls into place and they win 1-0 and everything's happy, or they win by a goal. Or there's those games where it's just there's no offense. Offense can't come in from anywhere. Trying to cross it, doesn't work. Try to go through the middle. There's no creativity. And in these games, yeah, you're getting points out of it, but I just don't identify with San Diego Loyal as a play style consistently, where I'm just like, okay, this is the San Diego Loyal I'm getting. And okay, it's a clunky, different lineup, sure. But this goes back to a couple of games back where, yeah, they had a good run there. And you know what? This San Diego Loyal team is an away team, unfortunately, or fortunately. I don't know how you want to say it, but I think this iteration of San Diego Loyal is more an away team. It's a better away team than a home team so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the same at home as it was last season. It's not that fortress, right? I think a lot of it also has to do with attendance. Attendance has been pretty low this season compared to other matchups from last season. But when it comes to the play style, I do think the team is playing the way that Nate wants to be played, which is having possession, which is having the wing backs kind of like take in control and catch the defense behind their backs and anything like that. But it's just hard when your rotation players can't deliver the same as your starters. And that's the hard part. That's why you're not going to see Duran Ferry getting minutes on this Wednesday games because he cannot play that play style.
Yeah.
So that's the struggle there, where if you have a very experienced coach, he can maybe have two different play styles depending on who's on the pitch. And that goes to training. Maybe Nate Miller's just focusing on this style of training, and you have to stick with it. It's not easy to just change it midway through the season. You can't just do that. You can't. It's not like a switch.
You're not
where
really
you just
changing
flip.
it though. Like there's so many players who are so lost in their ways. I can't find Ronaldo Damas just in this lineup. He hasn't found himself.
Who else gets lost?
Collier is trying to find some confidence.
Collier is
he's
just
part
not
of this
what
team.
we thought he would be.
He's
though.
part. I mean,
He's not
part of
that
this
guy.
team.
He's not.
He was never meant to be that guy. I mean, there are revelations. Camden Riley. I mean, you have Evan Conway doing 12 different tasks during a game. He can't be a pure
I agree with
offensive
that one.
player.
Evan Conway should not be playing wingback anymore this season.
There's and again, these are the things going along with injuries, going along with this. But like it is what it is. I don't see the consistency with this team. Am I wrong, Alan? Are you? Am I off base there?
I mean, I think the team is predicated on a certain style of play, which means certain players on the wings like Bodley, Perez, Matiti. And when you don't have those guys like that can break guys down one on one, like Nick Moon, I think it makes it very easy for the other team to not play out as wide. They sit in deeper because you're not as competent on the wing. They can just put one guy out there as opposed to two, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Perez is he demands multiple people paying attention to him,
Yeah.
which opens up the middle. We saw, teams starting to defend the cross a little bit more, and they got really, really panicky in the middle. And I think if they can figure out how to attack without crossing all the time and having those multiple looks where they can go wide sometimes, they can play through the middle sometimes. Like when Guido was playing at his high level at the beginning of the season, they were able to attack through the middle as well. Adrian Perez, when he is healthy, that's what allows him to do, right? Cut back inside, and it opens up the middle. Or he'll play on the wings, open up the middle. But if the wings aren't good, like Evan Conway is great, but he's not demanding the same type of attention that Adrian Perez or Matiti or even Blake Bodley is. And I would, it's not an insult to him. I think his strength is number 9, right? Pressing, speed, stretching play, hold up play. He's getting much better at. He's great in the air. And so he needs to be in the center of the pitch where he can attack the crosses. Having him cross balls in is not the desired space for him to be because then there isn't someone crashing, right?
I think Adrian Perez is a perfect example of a player that adapted very well to this Nate Miller ball. I remember earlier in the season, I said in this podcast, just Perez cannot be at the wing back because defensively he's a liability. And sometimes that's the case, but I think he's gotten a lot better to adapt, to be able to track back and defend as well. And just the impact that he has on the wing has just been amazing. He's been probably, in my opinion, the best player this season.
Go back to the beginning of the season. Remember what was supposed to happen? Ebby was not supposed to tear an ACL. He was supposed to be a starter. Elijah was supposed to play up in the wing, and I think that's what Adrian Perez ended up being. You bring in Blake Bodley to be on the other side and add that defensive, prowess there. So again, the movements of the season. But as you're talking about headers and crossing, Alan, like that's another part that kind of irritated me and pissed me off. Where like in Loudon again, and we'll get to Memphis right now. We'll talk about the lineup, which looked a little bit more likely like the Loyal that we know. Is that great goal by Blake Bodley on that cross to the second post, where a great header, great everything, but like it worked, and that kind of buys them some stock to keep doing that. Yes, it worked, but how many 9 times out of 10, that one's not going to work because it was a mismatch all the way. The pass fortunately got there, good contact, good header, but I know I'm being overly negative. I know I'm being critical. I think critical is the word, just because I want to make sure that this team is ready to go come playoff time. They're going to make playoffs. That's not a question. They're going to be there. Home playoff, probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Sure, I'd be happy with it, but in the playoffs. But once the playoffs come in, I just do not want to see a one-and-done performance because they didn't get their shit together during the regular season. That's all. That's my worry. With that, here's the lineup.
I think
Memphis.
Something very different to last season is that last season they kind of peaked very early. And this time you had that run where they hadn't won a few games, and now they went 3 in a row, and then they lose. So it's that consistency of winning, then you lose, then you win 2, 3, then you lose 1, maybe 2, you tie, then you get points again. So that's just something that San Diego Loyal has always done.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of finishing strong this time compared to just losing and hoping for the best in the last game of the season. But yes, here's the starting lineup. Coque Vegas on goal again. You have Stoneman, Camden, Riley again. Like you said, probably rising talent that just...
Revelation of the season.
Revelation. Simba getting the start. Blake Bodley, Charlie Adams, Joe Corona, Colin Martin, Adrian Perez back in the starting lineup. Tumi Moshobani and Evan Conway up on top.
Strong. Get it done. Like, offense is there. Midfield is there. Your wings are covered. Simba, maybe, but I mean, Simba played well.
Simba had a great game.
Simba played really well. Riley, again, revelation. Stoneman. Stoneman is the reason I think this goal goes in, which we'll get into in a bit. But 901 Memphis 901 coming to San Diego.
109 didn't look attendance for a Saturday. I think a lot of us were pretty surprised that it seemed low. 109 seemed pretty empty. They still, you can still hear them, but it didn't feel the same, and the crowd just didn't feel the same for this matchup. You start with this penalty call early in the game, right? Adrian Perez just
doing his thing.
One-on-one is he can take on anyone.
Yeah.
And he got that penalty for the team. That's something they needed badly back. Good thing the injury wasn't too bad. And you have Joe Corona and Charlie Adams. Who takes a penalty? Joe Corona says, I'm going to, or Nate Miller says Joe Corona is going to take it. And just...
Were you guys there on that side? Is that you there?
We're right there.
Oh, okay. Look, that's you.
Yeah.
Alan's covering you. All right, so Joe Corona steps up, does his thing. Great stop. It's a great stop. It's a really good stop. Could he have done better? Maybe. But, it's a good stop.
His body positioning gave it away where he was going to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And unless that's touching sight net, goalkeepers are going to block that because they're good at reading penalties. That positioning right there just indicates everything. I'm going to your left or to the player's right. And if
it was telegraphed.
if that doesn't hit sight net, then it's going to get blocked.
What were your thoughts when this happened, Alan? You were right there, right down there. You heard this, you felt this, you smelt it.
I mean, it's not a bad penalty, but it's not like the best. You would like to see somebody just bury it. You've been struggling. You want to start the game off well, especially after the way Loudon ended, to get the crowd behind you. And I think it just boosted Memphis's confidence. Like, their goalkeeper had a heck of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And it was disappointing, but you figured the way they were playing and the way it was going in the first couple minutes that, hey, we'd have our opportunities. And so you just like, all right, that sucked, but let's move on and let's get some more shots on goal. Let's create some chances, try to get some more penalties, whatever. I think, there was a slight letdown, but at the time I didn't think it was going to be that bad. And then Memphis used that momentum and really took advantage of it.
Yeah, it definitely took a toll on San Diego missing that penalty just because a few minutes after that, it didn't look like it was the same confident team that we saw those first 5 minutes. And we're used to seeing San Diego loyal to a strong start.
Yeah.
And it happened against OC, right? They had those first 15 minutes that were absolutely great. They scored, and you're like, wow, they could dominate against Orange County. And then the rest of the game wasn't good. But after this penalty, it didn't feel that way.
Loyal's always been an emotional team, I feel, like where they ride the wave of the emotion. That's a strength that, was always there at Torero. And again, I don't want to harp on the stadium or the fans too much, or if not at all. But this is just classic Loyal, where, you just kind of, things don't go your way. And not I don't think because of any of their doing, but it just seems like once one thing happens, everything happens, and it just kind of snowballs into there. You get this this chance here for Memphis, where still early in the match, whole bunch of nothing, a nothing burger right here, of a pass that just ends up being overly complicated. Koke with a save.
Stoneman could have just.
Stoneman needs to put a leg down.
Yeah.
Stoneman needs to put his leg down. That's it. Get in front of it. If you block it and it deflects into the goal, I'm sorry, that happens. Right there, you put your hands behind your back. It's a low shot. There was enough space for you to.
As a center back, you have to do everything it takes to the shot to not go through. It seemed like he just kind of let it through because he didn't know where his positioning was, and just kind of like, well, I'm not going to stick my leg out. Yeah. I don't want to score an own goal.
And because the book dictates that you're supposed to put the leg out as a defender, Koke reads this wrong, and it just takes, not wrong, but he doesn't see the ball until the last second, like, oh, you let it go? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, exactly. Like, he should have put his leg out. I don't know if you disagree with us, but I feel like Tony has a big point here where, as a center back, you have to put your foot there.
I don't even want to play. Whose
mean-
fault is this?
damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, I think that might be going through his head. Maybe he was hoping that Koke had a little bit better position, that he would just smother that. But either way, this is one of those unfortunate events that, you know, you hope to chalk it up as kind of the ball not bouncing your way. Like, it looks like a shot, but it feels like a pass. Like, it was weird, like, because you can make an argument that might have been tried to be like a through ball to the back post, and so you just try to boot it. But then if you boot it and it goes, I mean, I guess if you boot it and goes in your own net, like, I don't know. Like, I have a hard time necessarily faulting him, but like, I think maybe he was just like cross-footed. Like, he was like, I can't play this the way I want to, like, because he's not left-footed, right?
It doesn't matter if you put
matter.
your foot in, you block
put
the
foot in.
shot.
That's
But I mean, what I mean is, like, he's like halfway through that skip, and maybe he's just like, I can't get there, and so he just decides to let it go. But he's also blocking Koke's vision.
yeah, 100%. Like Koke has no idea that he's, because again, what you're supposed to do is put your leg out, and yeah, he's mid skip, but like drop, move, like it's
As
so
a goalkeeper,
close.
you're expecting your defenders to block the shots, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm asking you, you play goalkeeper for your whole life. You're expecting your defender to block that shot.
Yeah, 100%. You can even see Koke. The ball is about to pass Stoneman. Koke is still planted because he thinks this ball is about to deflect and go off for a corner, go off to hit Koke's left or something. But it just never happens.
It almost seemed like he kind of like also raises his leg a little bit.
He
And
just doesn't.
It's like,
put
okay,
his
I don't want to
100%.
risk an own goal. This could potentially Koke's got it, or it's gonna go out of bounds. My ref, Mr. Clean over here, did not ref this game very well.
Yeah,
And we'll
sorry.
get to what Nate Miller said. But that's the goal. That's the only goal of the game. San Diego Loyal
That's
still
the goal.
had chances, but it wasn't enough for San Diego Loyal.
And why are your hands up? That's enough time. I'm sorry. Like, again, I'm not a professional soccer player, but I've played enough to know that distance between where the ball was shot / crossed / passed, you should be able to register that this ball is not going to elevate. Why are your hands still behind your back? Put your leg down. Like, you give your back to the ball. That's a pet peeve of mine, Alan. As far as defenders, I'd be yelling at Stoneman right now. I kind of am.
Should have Loyal traded Stoneman instead of Kyle Adams?
There was somewhere where I read that. Did they trade the wrong center back? No.
I mean, I haven't been a fan of Stoneman. We did see Stoneman kind of yelling early in the game, right, Alan? And you mentioned, wow, I haven't seen Stoneman like that in a while. Yelling, taking charge, acting like a captain, just telling players where they need to run. Because as a center back, you do see the field a lot as well, and you're able to see the open spaces and your wingers. You can tell them, hey, like, you need to cut in here.
The last time I saw that was actually him with Trey Muse. That's the last time I saw that fired up Stoneman. And I don't know if it's him not feeling comfortable with Koke or just, I don't know. But, I mean, now that you mentioned that, yeah, like that fire, that passion, I didn't see it. But that immediately just fires me back to Trey Muse time here in San Diego. Shout out Trey Muse.
And it was a conversation we had, too. I asked Alan at the game, like, who do you think's the player that's most pissed after a loss? Charlie Adams. Alan, you mentioned Stoneman. Do you think Stoneman would get pissed?
He knows what he did, so yeah.
Oh.
He knows what he didn't do. Like that, I'm like
Look
that's
at Alan.
gonna be
Alan's cracking up.
that's gonna be
Alan, back up your boy Stoneman.
reviewed.
Back him up.
That's gonna be in training review sessions. Like, what could have done? What could have happened here?
And I mean, we don't know what that conversation is, but you know, this is why you play the game, and you know, professional athletes make mistakes, and you hope that the rest of the team can pick you up so that mistake doesn't cost you 3 points. But unfortunately, it did. Memphis got their goal and then decided to like milk stoppage time, milk injury time. And I think that was the biggest disappointment was San Diego wants to play and Memphis didn't. And San Diego has been guilty of some of these antics in the past. So they're not like perfect by any imagination, but I think this was well over the top. Cramping on a cool night in San Diego with like not a lot of like they're from Memphis. Like
Everyone was
it's
cramping
hot
up,
and
yeah.
humid there. Like I don't believe that you're cramping. And the amount of stoppage time was exactly the amount they put up, even though there were injuries and stoppage time. Now, I've been told that they don't have to put extra time on in injury time or
Yes.
extra time. But I think the way that Memphis was approaching the game, you should have, because that's clearly what they were doing, right? The other issue I had with the center ref is how long it took him to set up all the dead ball free kicks and such. Like he made them wait for so long to get set, took him for so long to get set up. Like I'm not sure if he was having some issues with cramping or whatever, but I was more upset with how long he was taking than necessarily the Memphis players. Like the Memphis players are going to push it until he reins them back in. And so I don't necessarily fault them for doing it, but there were multiple times on throw-ins and free kicks that they were he was taking a very long time to get them set up, like half a minute. And that's on the center official for not allowing the game to continue when Loyal wanted to play quick. And then blew the whistle a couple seconds after 6 minutes when it was a minimum of 6 minutes. I can understand the frustration of Nate Miller, but even Charlie was like, we still have 90 minutes to play. We still have 90 minutes to get a
100%.
goal. Like, and so I know that's the message going into the team is, yeah, you can be upset and frustrated at the referee in Memphis, but you have to maintain possession. You had several great chances. I think there's a Charlie Adams cross that Guido just barely misses. Like there was tons of opportunities for them, and they probably deserved to get something out of it. But unfortunately, that's soccer, and they didn't get a goal. And I think this is one of the process over performance Landon Donovan games.
Nate does it too.
Right, but it's about the performance. It's not about the results. This one would have been like a classic Landon Donovan post match conference where he was relatively happy with the way his team played, and I don't disagree. And like I think there's some players like Simba who took giant steps from the last time he played. Like he looked way more comfortable. He looked less lost. He wasn't making silly fouls. He was making really good reads on the ball from the opposite side to stop counterattacks. And those are the things I'm going to take away from this game, so I'm not frustrated for a week before we get to Mexico.
Like this.
There are positives.
Let's not forget you had Camden Riley on the wing, just absolutely destroying players as well. So that's
Hanger
your
FC.
center back doing that. There are positives to take away. Obviously, Nate Miller's reaction in the post-game conference had
This
everyone
face says it all.
had everyone a little like shook, if I'm being honest, just because coaches are usually very careful at not blaming the refs and being careful what they say to not get fined or anything. Nate Miller did not give a single fuck in this press conference.
Dominated possession that first half, and I was just wondering overall thoughts on the game.
My thoughts on the game is that we played a very good game. I was happy with it. Obviously, we missed a load of chances on our end, but the main thing is I'm pretty unhappy with how that game was managed. People come to a stadium to watch a football match, not for people to roll around for 60 minutes of the match and for like 45 minutes of it to be ball and play. I think it's total BS, and I think that it's just ridiculous. We want to play football, and we need to make sure a football game happens. And when a goal happens, we shouldn't just stop the game and have this whole game be wasting time. It's atrocious, it's ridiculous, but what else is new?
I think that response was obviously very emotional because at the end of the day, I think it's part of the game, right? Where the time wasting kicks in towards the end and stuff like that. I think the frustration goes to knowing that his team is, if not better than Memphis, probably is a better team than Memphis, but it's just the way, like Alan mentioned, the referee was officiating. The ref himself, we were counting on a foul or anything. He was taking up to a minute to get the ball rolling again. So I think that's also what frustrated Nate. not necessarily that Memphis was rolling around and felt like that's going to be part of the game. Yeah, you're going to get mad when teams do that to you. All right, but when your team does it, it's okay. It's my team. That's fine. And it's just part of the game. You get mad when it's done to you, and you kind of cheer when it's going to you. You're like, oh, make sure my player's okay. They're hurt. And you just got to understand that. That's part of soccer. That's part of football.
Props to a friend of the show, Abraham, who then followed up with like, oh, the tension.
Yes.
The team after the match, and when you're dealing with like that kind of men,
A lot of tension. What do you mean?
tension like between the players and the referee, a lot of yellow cards.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're kind of used to that. That's all I have to say. Is like this happens every week, and it's just it's ridiculous. Like, okay, if they're gonna roll around all game and then put 17 minutes of stoppage time, just play a real freaking game. Let's play a real game of football. But we can't even add.
I love that as a headline. We can't even add USL Championship, Miller says.
Like I genuinely felt bad because I'm like I'm gonna ask a question that's gonna like make him happier.
And I
Because like
piggyback
he was
off you with that.
seething.
Yeah, no, what the fuck, guys? I was. We need to press it. I told you why my question was kind of what Abraham was kind of saying too. Is like, I would have asked like, all right, cool. Besides all the antics, what could you have and your team have done better?
Oh, you should have been there.
I should have been there, 100%. But like
Wow.
that's
You know what, Tony? I've actually heard from a couple sources that people are real pissed that you weren't there because when you don't show up, they don't win. Like that was said multiple times.
Mm-hmm. It was
after the
actually.
match.
really
It was brought up
by
a couple
like
times.
fans or workers. Or?
Workers, fans. You were there at the Colorado
Media.
Spring. So even after coming back,
Oh, you
from
did
that
the
break,
math? Yeah. Oh shit.
You were at the Colorado game and they won 2-0.
Yeah, they did.
You didn't go to the OC game and they lost 3-1. You went to Loudon, they won
I
2-1.
won, barely.
You didn't go to Memphis and they lost.
I lost. So, what do I
So
have
really-
to? Yeah.
Really, the bad of San Diego Loyal is you not showing up. Apparently,
The bad of San Diego Loyal is Tony Sanchez not showing up to Terrell Stadium. So you better be there August 19th.
So that's what we're hearing. All right.
I will
so,
do the sacrifice and go to San Diego away.
So let's do this, right? So San Diego Loyal play against.
I don't like that. You like that.
Oh no, your shit's getting revoked. All right, so cool. They play against New Mexico coming up. New Mexico, tough opponent as always. A Western Conference compadre. They are on the cusp of 9th to 8th playoff spot. Everybody's kind of in that limbo area.
They're in the playoff hunt.
So if I don't go, what's going to happen? Because these two teams have tied every single time that they've played.
You would break that curse and they would lose
If I don't go,
if you don't go.
but if I go, they'll win.
They won't lose.
They won't lose. Okay.
If you go, they will win, Tony. That's as simple as it gets.
Okay.
Tell us in the chat. Do you guys want Tony to be there on Saturday? Do we want wins for San Diego Loyal?
I'll try my darndest. All right. So again, they face New Mexico, but let's kind of go into the good, the bad, and the ugly, at least for right now for San Diego Loyal.
What's your good?
My good is that there are players that are coming back and are getting healthy at a good point of the season. And hopefully they can get themselves acclimated back into the system of Nate Miller. And we can play some good, attractive, offensive style play. Like there are some good players here. Concerned a little bit for Perez coming down here. I mean, people are holding their breath for Nick Moon. I'm going to tell you this right now. Sources say keep holding your breath because I don't know. It's probably not going to happen for the remainder of this regular season. I have a source that says that they believe that he might come back at some point this season. That means playoffs or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to avoid a Jack Blake situation where he comes back and they just force him in there.
That's your good.
That's my good. There's hope. I guess.
My good is that San Diego Loyal on the table are in a better spot where I thought they would be by now. I thought after that tough away stretch, they would be lower on the table. They pulled off some results there to get points. And I think by now they're in a spot where they're comfortable, where they're okay being. Obviously, you want to be top of the table, but with the team that they have right now, fourth place is a better spot where I had them now in the season, like in a prediction.
All right. Alan, what is your good for San Diego Loyal?
My first good is Oakland's playing really well, so the chance of them getting them at home and having to play Oakland in the first round is relatively low. I do agree getting depth back is great. I do agree that where they are on the table is great because they control their own destiny still, which is fantastic. I think my great is the fact that we have young players who are finding their place and finding their spot on the team and are performing really well. So we have less worry in this stretch run of 11 games to the playoffs, where we're going to hopefully run into some teams that aren't doing as hot and take care of business, because we still have 2 against Monterey, who's scuffling. We have 2 against Vegas we haven't played yet. So I think that there's hope in the future that we'll get some points, and we have I think we have a more friendly schedule than some of our other Western Conference teams. So that's my good.
What is the bad?
The execution in any type of plays that San Diego Loyal make. Yeah, sure, there's been some really pretty good goals here in the season. There's been some really good plays made up and ended up in a goal. Not all plays can end up in a goal, obviously, but I want to see more lethal San Diego Loyal side where at least get it on frame, get it on target, get some shots on. Like, let's go, create some rebounds for those players that are poachers. You know, the plays are there. Toomey's been playing all right. I didn't like a stat that was actually dropped on the broadcast where it was San Diego Loyal leads the league in goals by substitutes, something like that, around there. So
Doesn't. Okay.
I'm
That's your
quoting
bad.
the broadcast.
That's your bad. That's your bad.
So if that's the case, then does that mean that the starting lineups aren't just not working? Are we not selecting the players that we should be? Just overall.
Or Nate's
Or,
substitution.
and that's the thing, yeah. Or is
and they're
exactly.
going in, so.
Exactly. So it's two sides of the same coin, but
that's your bad.
I think the bad is just I need these players to
Okay.
be a little bit more lethal and clinical
Yeah,
in the
that's
last
fair.
third.
My
Alan?
bad.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. My bad is just that compared to last season, San Diego's kind of like nowhere where they were in goal scoring form as last season. Last season they were the highest scoring team. I don't think that's not obviously not the case for San Diego Loyal anymore. 39 goals, 30 allowed. It's not. It's bad. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's ugly. I just think it's bad. It's positive, obviously. You have a positive goal difference, but again, goal difference is not the tiebreaker. So 39 goals in favor, 30 allowed. I think that's a bad.
This will be very interesting, Alan. Fan of fans. San Diegan of San Diego. Loyal of loyal. What is your bad for San Diego
Yeah,
Loyal?
so they are second in the West in goals scored. My bad is the allowing more than 1 goal per game at home. 12 games played, 14 goals allowed, only 18 goals scored, like a +4 at home. That's my bad, is that they just need to perform better at home, both offensively and defensively. I think they started out really well, then they hit a really rocky part defensively, and I think they need to rediscover that form, because if you're allowing more than 1 goal per game going into the playoffs, that could be problematic. So I think we need to get down below a 1 goal per game average, particularly at home.
The ugly.
Ugly.
What's ugly? It's just downright bad.
You want to go first or you want me to go?
You can go first. Go for it.
I think the ugly is that to this point of the season, even though if there are trades and whatnot, injuries and whatnot, and consistently through their whole 4 years here, the defensive mistakes are still there. The
Yeah.
silly defensive mistakes that should not be happening at a professional level. They're very consistent in their history with it. That's the ugly for me. As someone that likes teams that play defensively the right way, those little mistakes are very ugly to me.
Do you have any ugly, Alan?
The color of the orange vests. I'm not sure I have necessarily an ugly. I just think
Come on.
I think we saw some of it against Orange County. I think we saw some of it against who did we just play? Memphis.
Yes.
There's still a worry that when things aren't going their way, they're not mentally as tough as they should be to deal with some of those things, right? We saw some stuff early in the season where they really were able to keep their heads. Loudon was kind of the opposite side of that coin, but I think the ugly is when things aren't working well for this team, they panic. They stop playing the game they should be playing. And so I just think kind of that mental toughness and reminder that you're probably the better team, and just to keep patient and don't allow the BS of the bad calls or the dark arts or whatever to influence you. I think that's part of the problem with the team is they get put off by like through the emotion. And I mean, it's a it's a normal reaction. Like, I'm not necessarily faulting them for that, but I think it's something that they need to keep an eye on to, stay calm, stay cool, collected, and beat them by scoring goals as opposed to, getting frustrated and yelling at referees and overreacting, because then you create fouls, which then they, it's a domino effect. So I think that's my ugly.
I agree with you, Alan, 100%, and that's definitely what has me the most worried, because going into the playoffs, and we've seen this happen the couple times that Loyals actually made it to the playoffs in their couple of seasons of history, but you have to have a certain grit that goes into these matches where you have to dig deep. The Loudon match, you put better quality players on the pitch and they will yield results, and they did. That's what happens. It's not like they had to dig deep. Miami, when they went away, was maybe one of those last games where they dug deep. And there was another game that, again, I think they didn't win, they tied, but it's exactly that, because when you're in a playoff situation, one and done, you can't put your arms down. You can't do exactly what you're saying. It's just argue with the ref. We had that exactly play out against Oakland Roots last time that San Diego Loyal was in playoffs, and we all remember what happened and how that went down. So how do you fire people up when you're in that situation? How do you not be in that situation? Like, if you're falling behind, then I would expect you to be able to get and pick yourself back up. It's not like the team that we have at Kyle Vassell where, yeah, they were getting scored on over and over again, but you were a powerful offense and you were trading blows for it, so it didn't really matter. This time around, like, you go down early, and it seems like it happens a lot this season. That morale, you can tell, it just kind of deflates.
I love the sound effects.
Yeah, 100%. But I have to agree with that. And again, Steve Bolita also agrees the lack of fight. He says the good Blake Bodley and Riley have been awesome. Bad injuries to players we expect to be important. And ugly, the lack of fight. So, yeah, I mean, people are seeing it. And at the end of this match, there was just boos all over Torero. This is, not directed maybe at the team at all, but it's just like the general sentiment is when something goes bad and something's not right, the boo birds usually show up at Torero at home, and they did. And this is a reality San Diego Loyal has. The summer of soccer's not going as planned. Maybe, sure, they got to win against Loudon, but that's.
Will there be
I kind of
boos?
wish they lost.
Will there be boos against New Mexico?
For a 0-0 tie? I don't know, man.
Will you be there?
Probably.
Whoa, that's not. I can't. I don't know if I can give my prediction with that answer.
Give your prediction.
Are you gonna be there?
Give your prediction.
Are you gonna be there?
Give your.
It changes if you're gonna be there or not.
1-1 draw. New Mexico scores in the 18th minute of stoppage time because they actually put 17 minutes.
Yeah, and then they look at
some Leagues Cup
they
type
look
shit.
at Nate at the 18th minute mark and be like, "Oh, you asked for this.
Is this enough?
Sir?
I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win for Loyal.
All right, first win between San Diego Loyal and New Mexico. I say a tie, 1-1.
I'm saying a win because you're going.
1-1, 1-1.
All right.
Ugly 1-1. Like,
Well, Let's see what happens Saturday, August
Alan?
19th. It's also their YMCA night.
Do you really think they'll win? Or say just you're saying tie?
He said tie.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's
It's New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Statistics say they'll tie.
Yeah, according to the chances is they'll probably tie. All right, well, if you're gonna be out there. Before we kind of shimmy on down, really cool thing, Alan, the Chavos and their backpack drive. Did you see this?
Yeah,
Like-
super cool.
I think Adrian posted on Twitter that they got this year over, if his count was correct, 177 backpacks.
That's a
That's
lot.
amazing. That's amazing.
And you know better than anyone, Alan. You work in education too. Kids need backpacks. Kids need backpacks. They need them. School supplies. Really
it's
cool
expensive.
thing.
It's really expensive being able to get that. And then some families have more than one kid, right? And those bills rack up. So shout out to the Chavos making it happen for the community, obviously. And I mean, anyone that donated, everyone appreciates you. They give a big shout out to the Madrinas, who, I mean, that you recognize, right? Without them, they wouldn't be able to do any of this.
That's a San Diego loyal community that's here, Alan. I don't know if your buddies over at Orange County ever had anything like this. I don't know.
No.
Whoa, okay.
Wow. All right.
They
Strong words.
also don't have a bunch of teams taking videos at Chicano Park either.
They don't have a Chicano Park, that's why.
It's true.
That's actually a very good rebuttal. But hey, they went to TJ. Look. And the Midway. And there's Space Museum.
That's
Handball.
not-
Handball. Mano.
Handball, yeah. Oh,
What was that?
I still didn't come out on this one, huh?
Yeah, no, you're still banned from all these. Nothing says soccer like
Dando el rol.
handballs everywhere.
What is dando el rol?
I don't know. Alan, do you-
Any Chicano, any Mexicans in the chat know dando el rol? I'm stumped. El rol del balón, like roll the ball?
getting on the roll?
It's a song by Alex Reyes.
All right, Duolingo is not working for San Diego FC.
Yeah.
Also getting in contact with them so they can do some splaining of what's going on here. But yeah, that's the state of soccer in San Diego. San Diego Loyal, New Mexico. Check it out. Torero Stadium. Be there.
Alan, you're going to be there?
Yes.
It's going to be a hot one.
6:30 p.m.
It's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot. All right. Alan, anything else you'd like to add?
Plug.
No. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and I love you guys both. So,
Have you ever
Thanks,
seen The
Alan.
Room, Alan?
Oh, my gosh.
yes.
So I watched a screening of The Room on Friday, and it was probably the best cinema experience I've ever had.
Did you know what you're getting into before you went?
Sort of. I heard about the spoons, and so I'm
okay.
like, okay, this might be. And my girl was telling me like, oh, I did this in UCLA, blah 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 blah, blah. And I was, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, is this some like cinephile UCLA fratty thing that they do? Apparently not. And let me tell you, if you have never watched The Room, do yourself the favor of watching it and then going to a screening of said movie, The Room, with Tommy
Yeah.
Wiseau.
So my pathway to The Room was actually from the book The Disaster Artist. I had a book on tape,
Okay.
the audiobook, and I listened to this and I was like, oh my God, I have got to see this movie now. Because
Yes.
it's written by one of the guys in it, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I've got to see this movie. And there's a independent movie theater in Kensington,
Uh-huh.
right off 15 on Adams, that was doing a midnight showing, and we could walk there. So we walked, not knowing anything. Like I'd heard the stories, but I just wasn't sure. And yes, I mean, it's Rocky Horror Picture-esque, if people are familiar with that one, where it's like audience participation.
Yes.
But the movie, I mean, everything takes place in San Francisco, but there's always this
Meanwhile,
establishing
San
shots. It's great.
Francisco.
It's great. It's fantastic.
This guy.
My favorite part is in the scene, he doesn't realize that the dog is there
Yeah, can I have
until he's shooting the scene. And
Oh,
so
hi,
the
Johnny. I didn't know it was you.
hi dog was like
Hi, doggy.
improvised.
That's
Hi, doggy.
me.
That'll
And
be
then
18.
every time, and so one of the lines is always like, "Oh, hi, Mark." And Pittsburgh Riverhounds play at what stadium?
Uh-huh.
They play at Highmark Stadium. And so every time Pittsburgh plays, I giggle
Oh,
because
hi, Mark.
of the room. Oh, hi, Mark.
I did not hit her.
Not hit her.
I
It's
did not
true.
hit.
It's
Is that
bullshit.
bullshit? I did not hit her.
I
did
hate the
not.
both of you right now.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I can't stand.
It's so good.
I can't stand
hi,
you
man.
guys right now.
Go see it.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Yeah, no, every shot that there's water, you say, water, fire. And then,
At one point, did you start yelling too?
yes, you
Oh.
get into it. You get into it. If
There's
there's,
a scene where they throw footballs in tuxedos like very terribly to each other,
and
and
you
so
yell
people stand up.
sports,
People stand up in the movie theater and throw footballs at to each
that's,
other.
that happened. That happened, 100%.
There's frame spoons in the scenes
Mhm.
because he didn't take the picture out, so they just put the picture frame. And so every time you see spoons, people throw plastic spoons
Spoon.
at the screen. Yeah, it's there's tons of shots of bridges, and so you go go as it pans,
go,
and then if you
go,
make it
go,
across, you
go.
cheer, and if you don't, you boo. Yeah, it's
Oh my gosh.
because it's a terrible movie.
It's the
Oh
worst
my
movie of all
God.
time.
Okay.
It's one of those that's so bad it's good.
Please watch it.
should
Like
do a two balls and a
plug
mic
this.
outing at a room.
September 8th, because I looked it up. There's another showing, so I am so down for that. You guys ever want to watch The Room? Let's go. Let's go together, guys. Absolutely plastered.
That's a Wednesday.
Hey, Denny.
September 8th is a Friday.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, let's do that, guys. If anybody knows The Room or has stories about The Room, let's talk about it. That's one of the best movies experiences I've ever had just in my life. It was honestly, I felt like at times like going to church and not knowing the songs, but you catch on really quick, and you're just like, oh, okay, oh, Dear Diary, my mom's a bitch. Every time the mom would leave, it would kind of be part of it.
Oh, hi, Mark.
All right, Alan, thank you. That was the last thing I wanted to make sure. You strike me as a connoisseur of such things.
Of terrible cinema. Thank you.
Uh,
Gentlemen, have a good rest of your night.
You
We'll
too.
see you guys soon.
Later.
Oh, hi, Mark.
That was the worst 5 minutes of my life.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit.
Okay,
I did
ya,
not
güey,
hit her.
mames.
I did not. Oh, hi,
Oh,
Mark.
Ya, güey, yo no lo entiendo. Te odio, güey, te odio. Es que ya, aquí se acaba. All right,
okay,
we
thank
have
you
a
for
hat to
joining
give
us.
away.
Oh.
We have a hat to give away, guys. The San Diego Loyal Pride hat. If you've been to one of our giveaways, it'll be very simple. You're going to be commenting your name. We're going to give you guys a set time. So when I say now, you're going to type in your name. Tony's going to type it in the wheel, and then we're going to spin the wheel, and it's going to be an elimination round to see who wins the Pride hat. So that's a reward to anyone that's still watching. So starting now, type in your name, and Tony will type it in the wheel. We'll give you guys about a minute or so. And again, this is a reward to whoever stays for the segment. You guys are the true loyal fans, so start typing your name if you want to enter the running. We could have 5 people. We could have 3 people. Or did you want to make him do anything else? Stop looking for videos of that movie, güey. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mark. Comment. Oh, hi, Mark.
All right, we got Chris.
And also type in your favorite bad movie. Sure. Yes, I was the Spanish grammar police for the MLS video. They redid it. Now we're being grammar again for Dando el Rol.
That's
San Diego,
so weird.
I've never heard that. San Diego
Dando el
Soccer
Rol?
did the same video, just better. In
Yeah,
the same type
yeah.
of vein of like cross-border.
All right, we got Chris. We got Adrian. We got 619 Soccer.
Wheel
This
up.
might just be a very short giveaway.
All right. So we have Adrian.
Steve Bolita put, oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I guess we'll put Steve in there since he commented that.
Steve.
Steve.
We have a Chris.
Chris, who always wins the giveaways. We shouldn't even allow him at this point to enter the giveaways.
I know. He should be banned. Who else?
Steve Bolita.
Yes.
Oh,
still there.
619 Soccer.
619. Booyaka, booyaka.
All right, let's give him maybe another minute.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, hi, Mark.
Again, we're doing the giveaway right now. We have 4 people. I mean, not. I
what a
guess
start,
a lot
Mark.
of people don't want the Pride Loyal hat.
It's all good. Some people want it. More chances for them to win. All right, cool.
We're gonna close it down in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Closed.
Cerrado.
Alicia wins them. Okay, Chris. It's a combination of both of you.
So, first
let's-
one. Whoever
Just-
gets picked.
Wins it?
Yeah.
All right, simple as that. All right, we're going to do it the short, easy way, and then that way we can get back to talking soccer. All right, I guess we're closing it now. There's no more comments, I think, by now. Here comes the winner. First person picked.
Steve.
Steve.
Oh, hi, Mark. See, it worked.
Oh, hi, Mark. Congrats, Steve. You get the hat. If you're going to go to the game on Saturday, look for Tony. He will be giving you the hat. I'm going to go to Wave.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
Women's World Cup.
Yes.
We have 2 San Diego Wave players representing. Well, let's go back a little bit, right? Since last week, our predictions were completely wrong.
Yes, 100%.
I think we had Spain advancing.
Yes.
Right? Japan, we had them as champions, and they just did not perform against Sweden. All props to Sweden, Sofia Jakobsson, who ended up getting minutes subbed in the second half as well. They just dominated that game. They played their fight. Japan answered very late, and it was too late for them. And, you know, it's a surprise. It was an upset for a lot of people. But props to Sweden for advancing, and that just means Sofia Jakobsson doesn't get to come back to San Diego for a few more weeks.
Yeah. So the semifinals are as such: Spain, Sweden. Spain, a very strong team. They did lose against Japan 3-0. So they are vulnerable in this tournament. Sweden has proven to be a good team, just a good team altogether. And again, that's kind of what the U.S. wasn't. They were never really a team when they played against Sweden. It just happens that once the cohesiveness of a team aspect in association football happens, then that team tends to win. So Sweden, good team here. Australia, Emily Van Egmond.
The host.
Yeah,
Host
hosted
of
the
the
most. It's pretty cool.
This was I believe, the longest penalty shootout ever in a World Cup.
Ever in any World Cup. Yes.
So props to Australia for beating France and just moving on to the semifinal. Again, another great story. Emily Van Egmond, a key player for San Diego Wave that I kind of wish would go back already. But you know what? If she comes back a World Cup winner, that would be amazing. It would be all over San Diego Wave social media.
I mean,
World Cup winner Jakobsson or World Cup winner Van Egmond. Deja que la final sea Inglaterra-España.
it'd be really cool if it ends
final?
up being the final Van Egmond versus Jakobsen,
That
because
would be
then you're
super cool.
guaranteed
A Wave
a
World Cup
wave.
winner.
Yeah.
And for sure. And, you know, like, obviously penalty shootouts are very nerve-wracking. And obviously not the best penalty taken. I think the goalkeeper could have maybe done more, but it did enough to get the job done.
See,
and
wait, after so many
push
penalties.
Australia
Yeah.
into the semifinals against England. England, who also just defeated Colombia in a very intense game, going back and forth, obviously. I think at this point, who would you say are the favorites now? Spain?
If I go traditional, Spain versus England would be a cool little Euro match. England being strong, they're current reigning defending Euro winners. They won the Euro this last time around. So it'd be cool to see them bring it home. Again, I told you, I want to see England win it so they can go back and show the world how to celebrate a proper World Cup victory.
They would go crazy.
100%.
They would go absolutely
Australia
crazy.
would also go crazy.
Yes.
Especially
Since they're there, it would be a party for sure. No, it's a little sad that there's no more Latin countries representing in the semifinal, but I mean, again, in the World Cup, that
like it means
shit
something.
happens.
All these passengers were watching the penalty shootout when Australia won. It was really cool. Like
Heck
it's people care about this, and
Oh
that's
yeah, for sure.
not necessarily politically correct to say like, oh, you don't care about this. There was the one guy that's watching Lord of the Rings. But yeah, it's the World Cup is something that's awesome. It's here
every 4 years.
Shout out to Women Kickballs, friend of the podcast, who is covering over there. She's living the dream.
Yeah,
she's
she
living
is.
the dream.
She's living the dream.
That's what we want to do. Cover the World Cup. So that'll be interesting.
Spain Sweden is tomorrow, so in literally 4
couple
hours, 1
hours,
a.m.
yeah.
And then Australia England would be at 3 a.m. on Wednesday, so very late game. 619 Soccer. Can this be a 4-hour pod so I stay awake for the semi? No. It's not going to be a 4-hour pod.
Going back, Napoleon Dynamite is the ultimate bad movie. Are you watching
I've
Napoleon
seen
Dynamite?
Napoleon Dynamite.
Walked out of the theater. What the heck? I was just watching. It was better time. Hit the public chat. No, you're not banned, Alicia. It's fine. But you know what? You got it. You were nice enough to let somebody else have it.
You're
Muchas
welcome back
gracias.
in the next giveaway, Alicia.
Muchas gracias, says Steve Bolita for the hat. Congratulations. Papi Chavo says, RIP Japan. Clearly just saw Oppenheimer.
In other news, we do have the NWSL back.
100%.
It's finally back
It is
from
back.
the Challenge Cup.
Because there's no Challenge Cup. That's it. For Zenic Wave, it's over. Like,
Yeah, for Wave it's over. And they are going to play this Saturday as well against Gotham FC. So
Yes.
again, now just a refresher, right? San Diego Wave are sitting 6th place, which was still giving them a playoff push. They're only sitting 5 points behind first place, but then they're also just 6 points away from last place.
Challenge Cup.
So it's a very difficult. Every point matters. There's only 3, 6, 7 games left in the season.
Yeah.
Home matches, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 left out of the 7, so that's a positive. But they haven't won a game in a while. It's been since May. It's been 9 straight games without a win. So hopefully, I want to say the World Cup players are back for this game. Abby Dalkemper is back in the rotation. If you get Noah McGearma back, if you get Alex Morgan back, Kaylin Sheridan, those are going to be huge pieces that we're missing in this team. Gotham is not doing too bad. They're sitting 3rd place. But again, this would be a huge win because you cut your leading points by just 1 if you beat Gotham at home. So it's a huge game for San Diego Wave. They need to pull results here. You know Casey Stoney is in the hot seat as well.
Oh,
You wouldn't think so?
no.
Wow.
No.
By fans? Not even by fans. Huh?
No.
She's in
Casey
my-
Stoney
like-
is not in the hot seat. I can just. Breaking news: Casey Stoney sleeps quietly and soundly
She should
after
be.
her job is secure
she
here
should
in
be-
San Diego.
Should be in a hot seat. The way they've been playing. If people are calling for Nate
Local
Miller's
male
head,
reporter.
if people are
attacks.
calling for Nate Miller's head right now when they're in 4th place, and they have won some of their last few games, and they're not doing the same to Casey Stoney, that's ridiculous.
This just in: Chiva is a Casey Stoney hater after Kelsey Turnbow is nowhere to be found. He just switched into hating Casey Stoney. I see it. I'm gonna let her know next time. You should let her know actually next time you're there. Hey Casey, guess what? I think you're in the hot seat. Good luck with that. All right. I'm in Leagues Cup
Leagues Cup, we have the semifinals.
semifinal is here.
So it has been very controversial, right, when it comes to Liga MX teams. The way Querétaro was disqualified, they added so much time. They end up getting a red card in the 97th. Then Philadelphia scores in 90 plus 10, so 100 minute. With the questionable that looked to be offsides. I might have not been, but it was very close. VAR didn't even check it. the Liga MX already made a statement, right? Saying that they're not happy with the way the refereeing has favored the MLS teams.
Good. This is what I like. I want this to happen. I want Mexicans to be angry. I want the Mexican teams to be like, hey, what the hell?
Yeah.
Just gringos. ¿Qué pedo? Like 100%. Because
yeah.
then that's going to make this tournament actually valuable. People are going to care. Next time we find you guys, hijos de chingada madre, van a ver, nos vamos a dar unos pinches madrazos.
There has to be a way where some of these games can be in Mexico as well. It just doesn't seem fair that the Mexican teams have the ones that have to do all the traveling. Monterrey still beat LAFC. They were down 2-0 at half, and they made a comeback. They won 3-2 against LAFC. Carlos Velas' team is out, which was a huge shock to a lot of MLS teams. And Monterrey is the one that just has that hope. The way America lost, did you see that?
Yes.
Penalties. They blew the game over, and they said, no, VAR. Like, that should be a set rule. The ref blew the whistle, game over. That's it. And this is coming from a Chivas fan.
Yeah.
It brought me joy that America was up, but at the same time, it's like, dude, really? Is that not as clear as it gets when it comes to this tournament favoring MLS teams? I don't care if you're a fan of the MLS teams over Liga MX teams. I don't care about that. But you can't deny the favoritism that these teams are getting in this league, in this tournament. Like, it's just ridiculous the amount of support they're getting.
I like how the MLS teams are celebrating it like it's a World Cup. It's fine. It means a lot for them.
They have that point to prove, right? Where, no, we're growing and we're getting better. I mean, hopefully Monterrey kicks Nashville's ass and goes to the final. Obviously, Inter Miami is going to beat Philadelphia because this is set up for Messi to freaking win it.
100%.
Like, that's the true storyline here. You want Messi to win the Leagues Cup. You already had Cristiano Ronaldo in freaking Saudi Arabia winning a tournament preseason.
Getting mad he didn't win man of the match and Milenko Savage winning it, yeah.
That's not what happened.
Err.
ESPN flipped the script on that,
Nah,
actually.
Nah.
He was surprised he won the Golden Boot
Yeah.
after just scoring 2 goals. And
It's
he was like,
Ronaldo.
oh, okay. 2 goals, okay.
There's weird things happening over in Saudi Arabia, just
All
in general.
these players leaving. The era of Gareth Bale, Benzema, and Ronaldo, BBC, against MSN, none of those players are in Europe anymore.
Did you see this?
I did see that.
Fabinho getting a Rolex from a fan.
Not even a fan, it's a journalist.
The journalist?
He's a journalist.
Really? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
He drops it. Still feel it.
Like, dude. Again, players are not going to follow Cristiano Ronaldo. They're following this shit.
To get Rolexes.
You're
yeah.
getting a Rollie for just playing a great game.
I got it in a Rollie.
San Diego Loyal players, I mean, next time you have a great game, we
Go.
can't give you a Rolex, but, you know,
Give you
we'll...
a Casio. A
Damn.
man of the match Casio.
You mean one of the main sponsors for the Kings League? All right.
Miller or Stoney out first. I don't even want tiempo, güey. Yeah.
Los dos al mismo tiempo. Messi plays tomorrow at 4 p.m., and you're going to see that all over social media. Messi plays at 4 against Philadelphia. Monterrey against Nashville at 6:30. Messi will await the winner for that one. If Philadelphia somehow pull this off, then cool.
I want him to. I want him to spoil it for everybody.
I really do, but you know it's not gonna happen. Messi's gonna get a foul outside the box in the last minute. That's not a foul, and he's gonna score it because it's easy for him to score free
Because it's
kicks
the League
against.
Cup.
And it's a Leagues Cup.
It's a Leagues Cup.
And that's the rant with the Leagues Cup. If you've been following up, if you haven't, I don't blame you. The refereeing has been terrible, but that's how it is in all of CONCACAF. Not just in the MLS, it's also in Mexico. Not just in the MLS, also in the USL.
Referees just suck. I can't wait for robo refs.
You would hate that.
I would hate that so
You would
much.
hate that so much.
It's every call is right.
Another not so San Diego news: football is back in Europe. Premier League is back. La Liga is back. Bundesliga is about to be back next weekend. Serie A is back next weekend. So seasons are starting up. As you know, Tony's a Chelsea fan. I am a Manchester United fan. So this podcast has maybe turned a lot into just local soccer, but that doesn't mean we won't talk about our favorite teams from time to time. Your team tied against Liverpool.
Yeah.
What happened with the whole front sponsorship? Like, I heard it was more like
Nobody wants
a deadline.
Yeah, that's pretty.
They didn't
That's,
submit
yeah, that's
something.
what it is. But
It looks fresh.
I like it. I like
without
it.
a main
I was
sponsor.
gonna get it with my meal
That's
official
how
number
kids
2.
used to be.
That's how kids used to be.
Like there used to not be a main sponsor.
I like it. That's sexy.
¿Te lo vas a comprar?
Yeah.
Adidas have fat. Oh, are you guys Nike or Adidas? Nike.
What'd you say?
You guys are Nike. Oh, wait, Nike.
Did you say Adidas has fat
No,
sizes?
no, Afterpay,
Oh.
and Nike does too. So, just man, you ended up winning today.
Varanes getting the goal.
Varane getting a goal or not tackling a player in the small box.
Wow.
Following Tony's rules is you don't touch the goalkeeper in the small box, so that's why it's not a penalty. Glory, Man United. Not a PK. Onana did his job. Gets a clean sheet on his first Premier League.
Wow. But we sold Kepa Arrizabalaga
You
in the
didn't
last
sell them.
day.
You loaned him.
Well, we're gonna sell him.
I don't know. I think they should have gone for the hair.
Yeah.
Or
Chelsea,
Bono.
Chelsea should go for
I know
that.
they wanted Bono.
It's all good. We're going for everybody. We got Caicedo. We got Lavia. We're getting everybody.
Did you see the bonuses that Neymar's getting going to Saudi Arabia? Like he's getting a mansion with workers included.
Oh. Inside.
He's getting a private jet.
Ooh.
He's getting a $500,000 bonus for any time he puts on his social media promotes Saudi Arabia. And for every win, 80,000 euros, 500,000 euros.
That's very halal. Good on him. Good on him.
Like, I believe who got the rights to Azteca?
Uh-huh.
Azteca got the rights for this league. So Azteca is going to be doing these games. I think Azteca San Diego would be doing the Saudi League games.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that they're getting the exposure over here. Like, this league is growing. Is it expected to be the same thing as it was for China? Or what's the potential here?
Neymar after doing a rainbow flick in Saudi Arabia.
Shit.
I'm sorry. That's breaking news. Very unfortunate. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I guess more soccer to watch. And
Hey, wait, is FFA going to
Huh?
FIFA attack Chelsea? $1 billion spent
good.
since last summer?
We're good, boys. We're good. We're selling people. What are you talking about? Sold Havertz. It's balancing out. The books are balanced. If you are signed up for the 2 Bones of the Mic Fantasy Football, the American kind, we give out a jersey every year. The application is out. Check it out on our Twitter. Ask us for it. We'll be selecting the players for this season. If you win, you get a free NFL jersey. I don't know why we did that. We've done it. We pay. It's fine. People like
We
it.
usually play a game each week to see who gets the most rights predictions, and that's the person that buys the jersey. So thank you guys for watching this episode. See you guys over the weekend.
I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.